Welcome everyone to episode 7 from Hot Wheels Bunny. Today I'm bringing you volume 2 of my collection of cars from the 1969 Hot Wheels lineup. The first car I have for you is the Mercedes-Benz 280SL. Mercedes introduced the 280SL in 1968. The 280SL is definitely not your typical California cruiser, but it works here as the 280SL was a great sports car in its own right. This model was only made in Hong Kong. It features an opening bonnet. A European car, we have to call it a bonnet, right guys? And exposes what appears to be a 6-cylinder engine, which would be accurate to the actual 280SL engine. Early versions of this car have what is called a Delrin bearing style suspension, and I'm going to show you what that is. Some of these older Hot Wheels had basically what... Oh, hello. We're going to move that car to the side. The wheels were actually removable. And I'll show you what it looks like on the inside there. And you can see where the wheel was there. See that little white spindle? The wheels just pop right on there, and they pop right off. Of course, this is just another indication of, with these older Hot Wheels cars, how easy it was for a kid playing with them when they were still coming out new. That wheel gets lost. What good is a car without wheels? Mom or dad throws it to the trash. End of story. So, yet another reason why these cars are so valuable is that the wheels just pop right off of them. So, that's an example there of that. Now, the reason I brought up the Delrin suspension is that later on, obviously they got rid of that, so the wheels nowadays, they stay on there. And it was during the make of this car that they eventually moved over to that single cap design. So, in the meantime, our next car I have for you today is another European legend. It's a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Made only in Hong Kong, this car is, to my knowledge, the first car to be released en masse with an enamel paint job. It finally went away from the Spectraflame paint on all the cars. This color was by far the most common of colors available in this car. It is said that of all the colors this car was available, gray outnumbered all the other colors combined by 2 to 1. So obviously any Spectraflame paint color other than gray is a fairly rare car, and if you see one, scoop that bad boy up because it's a nice one. This model also features an opening bonnet revealing an elaborate engine in there, big V8, a 6.2 liter if I am correct on that, and the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Next up, back to some America muscle, and the classic 57 T-Bird, based of course on the 1957 Ford Thunderbird. This model has a customized racing style windscreen. As you can see there, the windshield in front of the driver's seat is slightly raised and the rest of it's lowered. Also has a raised headrest, which then molds into an aerodynamic bulge that disappears into the trunk of the car. And again, this one has the opening hood, which reveals a very nice classic V8 under the hood. This one is in Spectraflame antifreeze with a white interior, which is a very nice look on this car. Also has painted taillights, which are worn on this, but again, not atypical of a played with car. This is in pretty good shape, very, very few marks on this one, so a very nice example. And another note I want to make on this too, I know it's really hard, almost impossible to see in the video, but the name of the car underneath, it says Classic 57 Bird, it doesn't have the T in the name. And those of you watching who are other collectors, if you know anything about this, I'm interested to hear your thoughts if you want to comment on the video below. I'd appreciate any input. I'm wondering if this was an error, a factory error, or if they just changed the name of the car at some point. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's called Classic 57 T-Bird, but it just says Classic 57 Bird underneath. So I just found that an interesting note to mention there. And the last car I have for you isn't a car at all. It's a bomb. That's right. Everybody's favorite, the Volkswagen Beach Bomb. And right away you're saying, hey Bunny, that's a refurbished car. What gives? Well, as usual, old Bunny can't afford to plop down $100 for a really nice beach bomb, or even about $70 for a played with example. This is one case where refurbished cars are so common it's actually cheaper to buy a refurb than a played with model. So here's the one that I managed to pick up in metallic orange. And since it has been obviously repainted, there's no telling what the original color was. The paint on this car is much better than the Vicky refurb I showed you in the last video, so props to the painter here on this one. As far as I can tell, everything has been replaced on this car. The glass on it is perfect, so it's obviously been replaced. Probably the interior, and of course the wheels, and of course the surfboards as well. But anyway, that's enough about the refurbishing part of the subject. Interesting notes about this vehicle. The original version, the prototype, was much skinnier, and it did not have these bulges on the side that the surfboards sit in. The surfboards actually came out the back window there, and the top of the van was solid body color, body material, the die-cast metal. And the problem with this was that back when they released this, Hot Wheels was trying to push their track sets just like they do today, and they've got what they call the superchargers, which grab the cars and push them down the track. Well, the original version of this was far too skinny. It wouldn't, the super turbochargers wouldn't grab a hold of the car to push it down the track, so they had to widen the car, and they took out the metal in the top of the van and included the plastic sunroof there to lower the center of gravity, which allowed it to perform on the tracks a lot better. Now, if you happen to want one of those prototype vans and see one on eBay, don't buy it. It's probably fake. If you're paying anything less than $500 for it, there's no question that it's a fake vehicle. There's a bunch of those out there, so buyer beware if you're trying to buy one of those prototypes. But so that is the Beach Bomb. And so there you have it. That concludes my collection of 1969 Hot Wheels releases. My next video will go into the 1970 collection, which I'll put up just as soon as I possibly can. And until then, Merry Christmas to all, and happy collecting.